Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today we got some pretty awesome news for fans of Destruction. Today, finally, after probably 6 months of staying on beta and really in pre-patch and everything else, Chaos Bolt was indeed finally buffed. It was buffed by 22%. Now, I will say, I hope Blizzard said this might not be the end of the class changes they're coming for Mythic Week, and I sort of hope they're not. I hope for a bit of love for Demonology and Affliction as well. I thought the simplest change was probably just like aura modifiers for each spec, but in the end, Destruction probably was the front runner for more like niche changes, looking like a Chaos Bolt buff. So Chaos Bolt was indeed buffed by 22%. That raises a lot of questions. Did it change legendaries? Did it change enchants or gems or single target talents, rotations? So we're going to look at all of that today. I have indeed run sims for new talents, or I guess talents. I've run all the sims. So now briefly before we get into all of that, any WeakOras profiles or add-ons to here you can indeed grab for free off my Twitch. If you want to swing by, hang out, ask any questions anytime, feel free to do so. So let's get into the sims. Now I will say the actual changes went live in the nightly build pretty much midway through the sims that I was running, but that's a good thing because I was able to run top gear sims as well, which I guess gave us a more precise look at different combinations of things and made life a lot easier. Now I can assure you the actual like modifier, spell modifier, whatever aura we use is indeed correct. Let's get into it. So for what it's worth, this is the actual override APL string, whatever you call it, I used for these actual advanced sims. Now I had to go through and actually like change the talents for each individual one, but this is the correct spell power coefficient modifier that is now indeed in the nightly build, which you can indeed sim yourself, but hey, all the sims are here for you. So getting into it. These are the actual numbers for pre-buff Destro taking my character in-game with current gearing. I am 194-ish, right around there, give or take, equipped, eye level. This is running Roaring Blaze and Channel Demon Fire, the single target build. So basically here, you're comparing Soul Conduit to Channel Demon Fire, because one of the first questions that I had was, does this add more value to Soul Conduit? Because Soul Conduit, more Chaos Bolt cast, Chaos Bolt was buffed. Channel Demon Fire, it's solid single target, but it also gains a bit of value from Roaring Blaze, and well, I wanted to see where that went. So this is pre-buff numbers here. Basically, we're looking at 3,674 damage, running CDF. Post-buff, 3,838. So we gained roughly 183 or so DPS, which it's something. It's not terrible. It's not amazing. It's fine. But nothing really changed here. You can see that like Soul Conduit did gain a bit of value, because nothing changed here besides the actual modifier being added in, but nowhere near enough to actually surpass Channel Demon Fire when it comes to the single target build, both playing Roaring Blaze. So the next question that I had, okay, well, let's compare basically every combination we have. Roaring Blaze CDF, Reign of Chaos CDF, Roaring Blaze Soul Conduit, and Reign of Chaos Soul Conduit. Well, these are pre-buff. Roaring Blaze CDF still being the highest one here. Reign of Chaos CDF being the highest one here. And by the way, you might be wondering why there's no Dark Soul here. We ran Dark Soul in Top Gear Sims, which we'll get to in a few minutes. So pretty much, we're comparing the second highest build here being Reign of Chaos CDF to Roaring Blaze CDF. These are both pre-buff Destro Sims. Going post-buff, same thing. Roaring Blaze CDF, Reign of Chaos CDF, it's pretty much the same thing. Can I get to the same spot? Yeah, nothing changes here. Like, numbers change, but the talents, it's exactly the same. So you can see that technically Reign of Chaos CDF did gain a bit of value because it's 150 DPS ahead. Roaring Blaze CDF is comparatively to 162 here. Once again, Reign of Chaos, more shards, more infernals, more Chaos Bolt cast. But the Roaring Blaze CDF fire damage ant build does indeed appear to still be your best single target build of Destro. Now, the thing that I was really interested in looking at were, I guess, are legendary sims, because there are 4 Destro-based legendaries and also synergy. And the Destro ones being Triple Conflag, Havoc Cleave, which does indeed work single target, oh dear, whatever the cloak, Chaos Bolt buff and reduced cast time, and 100% increased shard gen. They all feed into Chaos Bolt damage in a sense. Chaos Bolt is your main spender, and these are single target sims. I was really curious to see where these were at. Now, it took a bit of a workaround to implement the actual legendaries into these sims, but just to show you guys, they are all here. For example, we'll go pre-buff Cinders. Cinders is indeed right here, being implemented on a 210 pair of pants. So the interesting thing here, these are pre-buff legendary sims. These are post-buff legendary sims. So let's scroll down a little bit, make this basically the same. Not a whole lot really changes. Nothing, you can see here, tabbing between both them, nothing really moves position-wise. There's a bit of value gained. These are pre-nerf. You can see that pre-buff synergy is about 250 to 261, so it's about 11 DPS more for Cinders. Going here, it's 10 DPS, so it's mostly a wash, still favoring Cinders, which makes sense because you have the Roaring Blaze build and things like that. Looking at the actual Havoc Cloak, for example, though, let's go here, Madness on both. Havoc Cloak gains a bit of value. It's like 5 DPS. It might not seem like a whole lot, but like I said, this does indeed work single target. You can put Havoc on your only target and have a 25% increase to your damage. It lasts only, you know, a few seconds based off your Havoc window and is on CD for half a minute, but it's still something. It's better than nothing. Going to the very bottom here and comparing it to like a no legendary sim. This is pre-nerf. Look at how much value Cinders gains. I guess increased shard gen, whatever you want to call it. It gains a decent bit. I mean, it gains about 33 DPS. So comparing every legendary you have here, the one that appears to have gained the most being pre-nerf right here, post-nerf, is honestly 100% increased shard gen. Now, I don't think this, I mean, you can obviously see this is not like your best legendary, but it's cool to see. The interactions are cool. It's solid. And while I'm not looking at crafting it a whole lot, well, I'm glad I got some help. Now, I did mention that the nightly build went live pretty much in the middle of my own sims here, which gave me the option to run top gear sims, which made life so much easier. It's great. You can see here on the side, for all these builds we're going to scroll through here, weekly build, meaning this is going to be like pre-buff, and you have nightly build, which is going to be the current version of or Destro, or what it's going to be on Monday whenever these buffs come in. So right here, you can just see the raw DPS, I guess, damage amp, what the actual buff was. Pretty much 4,000 damage up to 41 and 52. So you're looking at about 180 or so DPS buff, which, looking back to our old sims, is pretty much where you're at. 170, 180, give or take. So once again, that confirms those sims are indeed accurate. Now, we are simming with Ashen Remains here. Same build, Roaring Blaze, Channel Demon Fire, all of that. The top gear sims allowed us to compare legendaries a little bit closer. This is pre-nerf. This is like the weekly build before the actual buffs go in on Monday. My profile has Cinders being number 1, edging out Synergy by about 10 or so DPS. Then it has Havoc Legendary, it has actual Chaos Bolt reduction cast time, and then we have, you know, Incinerate Charge. And here is like Reign of Chaos with Synergy and Soul Conduit being here. I want you to note Soul Conduit being here, single target. Soul Conduit with Conflagrate Legendary, Reign of Chaos with actual Synergy, beating it out by a smidgen. Moving on. Same thing here. Cinders, everything else. But scrolling down, look what happens here. Triple Conflag and Soul Conduit actually jump Reign of Chaos and Demonic Synergy. Now, they're not, I will say, like, this is not your best combo. Obviously, you're still like, what, a 150 DPS discrepancy between, you know, Soul Conduit and Roaring Blaze, essentially playing the same build. But you can see in the sims that Soul Conduit and the extra random shard gen did indeed gain value, and it gained more value, you know, comparatively to Roaring Blaze before. Without it gains value, which is really awesome to see. You still indeed have Conflagrate Legs here above Synergy by about 10, 11 DPS, which makes sense. Single target, Roaring Blaze, Channel Demon Fire build, still pretty much where you want to be. Havoc Cloak, or Havoc Legs, I'm sorry. And then you have Conflagrate Legs and Soul Conduit with Reign of Chaos, Synergy, and going from there. Now, I actually wanted to compare the DPS difference here between the other sim, being the weekly pre-nerf, I guess pre-buff, and the post one, for Incinerate Shard Gen and actual Chaos Bolt. Let's look here a little bit. So you have Incinerate Shard Gen here being an 88% increase in DPS to where our current gear is at. The current gear is the same for both here for the most part, just the actual buff is being put in. You have actual Incinerate Shard Gen here being, what did we say it was? 88 DPS, right? Incinerate deals 100% or generates 100% more shards. Looking over here though, it's a 100 DPS gain. Incinerate generates 100% more shards. And it actually surpasses the Chaos Bolt Legendary, which is a little surprising. I can't really figure out as to why it does. I mean, obviously the Shard Gen is good for more Chaos Bolts and things like that, but I can't totally figure this out because it almost appears like arguably Chaos Bolt Legendary loses a bit of value in this sim comparatively to the sim we looked at earlier, and the chest gains value. I'm not really sure what this is, like why this is happening. It's the same thing, you know? haste mastery to haste mastery, chaos bolt reduction, same eye level. So I'm not really sure what's going on here. Like thinking out loud, I'm trying to think if there's any real reason this would happen just due to raw buffs. I mean, maybe just, I suppose it's just the extra shards you generate from this legendary end up giving you more value to your chaos bolts. It's odd to me, but I suppose it makes a bit of sense, I guess. But regardless, I'll have a link to all these sims in the video description if you want to check them out. But TLDR, Cinders is still your best legendary from what I've seen, pure single target, but Synergy is very, very close. But obviously, Destruction is not all about single target damage. It's pretty much our worst single target spec right now. We'll get to that in a little bit, but the big thing with Destro is that Destro is the king of two target cleave. You typically, at least in the past, had an insane, two target cleave with Havoc every 30 seconds. I wanted to compare two target builds and see where things are at. And this is where things start to get interesting. We sim multiple talents here, same legendaries. This is the weekly build, meaning this is like the highest performing spec pre-buff for Destro. You have Cinders here, followed by Synergy being relatively close, about a 5 DPS increase running conflict rate over Cinders, but it's pretty close. You have Reign of Chaos here with actual Synergy helm, followed by Reign of Chaos with Chaos Bolt damage amp helm. They're pretty close here. So let's reset this for now. Same thing. Weekly, two targets, Cinders. Look at the nightly build. Synergy, the Reign of Chaos, has pulled ahead. And it's pulled ahead by, 60 DPS. But it's pulled ahead a little bit. Comparatively to the build we had before, looking at Reign of Chaos and Synergy, it's gained, what, about 20-ish DPS, which is not like massive, but it's bigger than it seems because we're not doing 200,000 damage anymore. We're doing 700 or so, and yes, 15 DPS, it is what it is, but it's super min maxy. Now there is there's 3 DPS margin of error here, but the thing is, Reign of Chaos, depending on procs, it's like VOP major, like from BFA. Sometimes you have insane luck, sometimes you don't have very much luck at all. It has a higher ceiling though, because sometimes you get proc after proc after proc, and sometimes you don't proc anything. But it has indeed pulled ahead, and Synergy has pulled ahead in two target as well. So this essentially makes Synergy your best legendary for Affliction at this point. Arguably your best legendary for Destro, being very close to Cinders. It's like this is single target Destro, and when it comes to two target, pretty much where you want to be. It's not bad for Demo either. If you exclude Reign of Chaos from the nightly buff Destro two target sim, let's say we just disregard this. Go to current gear. It's pretty much a wash. You have Cinders right here, and you have Synergy right here. They're 4 DPS apart, which is very similar to where it was before here. Gear will take a little bit, but Synergy has indeed pulled ahead. Reign of Chaos has indeed gained value. Reign of Chaos, more shard gen, more Chaos Bolt cast on 2 targets comparatively to 1. Looking at others here, you actually have Chaos Bolt damage increase and reduced cast time effect here with Reign of Chaos, and it's actually pretty close. Like, it's actually pretty close. Look at the DPS difference here. It's 11 DPS different from your main helm. Now, depending on how things scale later on in the expansion, I wouldn't be surprised if this helm maybe even does end up taking over Demonic Synergy, or maybe even Conflag, depending on how stats scale and buffs and nerfs, things like that. Oh, look here. Reign of Chaos and Soul Conduit as well, with Chaos Bolt Reduction helm. Looking at the weekly sim, well, I mean, comparing it to, like, it's gained more value once again. I'm just impressed. I'm impressed. It makes sense. And in the end, it's super min max. You're gaining what, a few DPS, but this just, in my opinion, further solidifies Vision of Demonic Synergy as, well, pretty much our best legendary, right? Now, you can indeed still play Roaring Blaze if you want to. And let's be real here. 2 target Roaring Blaze with triple conflag means you can maintain a pretty high uptime on Roaring Blaze on 2 targets. Whenever you have your Havoc up, you have the buff on both targets, and you're getting CDF cleave and things, it's even better. But it's cool to see Reign of Chaos coming in and get a little bit of value here. If you like VOP Major in BFA, awesome. There's some value. If you hated it, like me, well, it is what it is. But regardless, it's cool to see these little interactions picking up value because of just I guess you can call it maybe a minor buff, a decent buff to just one ability. It's really awesome to see the differences here and what gains and loses value over the course of, well, minor class buffs. So the biggest question people probably have right now is, this is all great, this is all awesome, but how does single target Destro stack up against single target Affliction? So this is not the sim, first of all. This is my character's profile running the gear that I have right now in game. Like I said, I'm 194.5 or so. Here's your top single target Destro sim with a nightly build. This is like post buff everything else. 4,160. I even did a full haste gem enchant sim here to try and squeeze out every single bit of DPS that I have. You could probably run Combusting Engine here over Ashen Remains for a bit of a DPS increase, but that ability feels terrible. Regardless, 4,160. Scrolling down here, it's a lot of different mixed gems and enchants, but 4,160, the front runner here. My top affliction sim, 4,515, playing Relic of Demonic Synergy. Now, previously, this is about 4,000 DPS. So Destro has, like I said, been buffed by around, 170 DPS, give or take a little bit. But it's not going to surpass AF single target unless there are more buffs to destruction. The Chaos Bolt buff is awesome. It's cool. It's great. It needed to be buffed. But as a whole, I was sort of expecting some just aura modifier buffs to maybe Destro, probably Demo, and maybe AF, depending on what's going on. But we really didn't get them. So the buffs, I think, are a little bit more impactful to target, which we'll get to in a second here as well. But if you're hoping for Destro to beat out Affliction and single targets, unfortunately, that's just not really the world that we live in. My AF sims are ahead probably by about, 350 DPS, give or take. But to target. So we've pretty much played AF on 2 target bosses in most of Castle Nathria. Looking at Dog Boss, we played single target AF just with Siphon Life on 2 targets. I was curious. How is Destro going to look 2 targets comparatively to AF? 2 target Destro. Reign of Chaos. It does indeed have Channel Demon Fire here. You can see that Soul Conduit is here. It's relatively close. It's about a 70 or so DPS difference. This is simming stack targets. So keep that in mind. I don't want to disappoint you guys. 5,762, 2 target AF, 6,062. So there's a 300 DPS difference here. You can see it. You can probably make a case for it gaining a bit more value in 2 target versus single target, but the buff is just not enough. The cool thing is, hey, look, synergy. That's cool, right? Synergy everywhere. Synergy across the board. Synergy does indeed become your best legendary in 2 target, like we said here. Pretty much the same as we saw last time. Cinders being very close, Synergy being a little better. That's awesome. One great universal legendary. Let's cross our fingers, hope it doesn't get buffed. Or nerfed, I'm sorry, nerfed in any sense. But Affliction does indeed appear to be still a little better when it comes to 2 target cleave. And just to show, we have CDF here. Let's see if we can scroll down far enough here. We can't. Dark Soul was indeed simmed here. We simmed every single talent in the last 2 rows except for Grimoire of Sacrifice. We're not going to get into that. Sacrifice is not good. Yes, the Doomguard build was nerfed. I know. So, TLDR, the buffs do help Destro. They're needed. They're warranted. It will probably help with Dismit and Plus, too, because, especially right now, Destro's damage is more front-loaded if you're playing the Cataclysm CDF build with Reign of Chaos, right? Affliction does take a little while longer to get rolling, but I think AF's probably a little better in Plus once things get rolling, as long as the trash doesn't die. And I guess technically if you're going to Havoc windows comparatively to Reign of Fire. It'll help in certain areas, but as a whole, AF is still better single target, my opinion. And AF is still better 2 target. Well, in my opinion. But Destro's better than it was. Not the best. So to summarize all the changes, pretty much not a whole lot has really changed talent-wise for single target Destro. You're still playing Roaring Blaze, you're still playing CDF, here's pre-buff, here's post-buff. You can see it does indeed gain a bit of value in 222 comparatively to 183 because more Chaos Bolts being cast with a Soul Conduit build. But Roaring Blaze, CDF, still indeed better. As far as actual legendaries go, once again, you're still pretty much looking at the same thing. Triple Conflag, followed very closely by Synergy, Havoc Cleave, which is odd that it works single target, but it still does, followed by Chaos Bolt Cast Time, and then actual Shard Gen. Not a whole lot really changes there. Keep in mind that if for whatever reason you're wanting to make Shard Gen because it's cool or whatever, it was indeed buffed the most comparatively to before. If you look at the Sims here, 60 DPS compared to the post-buff Sims, 93, 94, 218, 261, 271. They're all very close here for the most part. Pure single target wise, Destro not as good as AF. 2 target wise, Destro still not as good as AF. Now, I don't want this to seem like I'm saying Destro is bad. Nor do I want to seem like I'm saying AF is too good. AF is not too good. There are certainly other classes in the game right now that are better than every Warlock spec as a whole. But Blizzard did indeed say, you can even see it in the blue post here, that as we test these changes, the above are subject to change before Tuesday. If we have further changes, actually, let me show you here, you'll be able to see them, and we'll update it as soon as possible. Now, I mean, yes, warriors are buffs. I don't know how. I have literally no idea how hunters got off without being nerfed here. It's not even salt. Like, it's just me being real. I don't understand it. But either way, there could be more class changes coming. In the end, AF could probably use a little bit of help. Yes, like if you've been watching stream lately, yes, we have been doing pretty good damage to AF, but we're relatively geared comparatively to a decent bit of the raid, even though we haven't made a legendary as of yet. And I think Demonology could use some help too. There are some really strong points with Demonology. When you have your Tyrant and Decon, it's very strong. It scales well with your health later on in the expansion, because your health, having more health, more pet health, bigger decons, everything else. But as a whole, I was hoping for some demo and probably AF changes, some buffs, a bit of love, but we'll see where it goes. Hopefully they decide to make some more changes to Warlock, some more buffs in the next few days. But as far as Nathria goes, I truly don't think we're terrible. I played pretty much just AF myself. I can say that, I mean, listen, if a hunter was equally geared, they're probably going to beat us. If an unholy DK is equally geared, they're going to beat us in the rest of the raid. A Shadow Priest is probably going to beat us, depending what's going on, and a Boom King will in AoE, but I mean, that's something in itself. So I don't think Warlock's in a terrible spot. I think the bigger question is, what are they trying to tune around? Are they trying to tune around the classes that are doing more damage right now? If that's the case, then probably, you know, about a third of the classes and specs in the game need to be buffed. Or are they trying to tune more around like a state that Warlock's in right now, where we're solid, but we're not amazing? And if that's the case, then okay, well, a few classes still need to be nerfed. But I want to drive home that I don't think we're in a bad spot at this point. Are we in a great one? No. But also, do I rate a world first guild? No. We're a Hall of Fame guild. We're a cutting edge guild. We're not a world first guild. And when it comes to, I think a common like misconception, or just is that when you see people saying that this class sucks, you know, and they're in a world first guild, it's not, I mean, okay, they might think the class sucks damage wise, but in that setting, you're trying to bring the best class, the best spec, the best everything. You min-max every single little possible thing. This difference right here, you know, let's say of, I don't know, of what? Of, you know, 10 DPS. That is huge. That is huge in that setting, because every single little incremental point of damage matters. When it comes to not, if you're not in a top, like a world first guild, I don't think Loxton is in a terrible spot. Are we in a great spot? No. Do we need buffs? We probably could use some. But TLDR, this guy's not falling. The Destro buff is nice. It helps. But in the end, it's not going to skyrocket, or it's not going to push Destro ahead of AF or potentially even Demo when it comes to single target damage and, well, 2 target for AF. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video gave you all a better understanding of the Chaos Bolt changes, Warlock, Destro buffs today. I knew there would be a million questions surrounding what talents are good now. Are any legendaries better, worse? What did it really change? So hopefully this video summarized it all for you guys. Let me know what you guys think of the changes in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of the current states of AF and Destro, I guess, and Demo while you're down there as well. If you have any questions, drop them down there as well, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Any weak Horus profiles or add-ons you see here, you can indeed grab for free off my Twitch. If you want to swing by, hang out, ask any questions anytime, feel free to do so. If you guys want to see more WoW content and help support the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button below and hit the like button while you're down there as well. Thanks again, dudes, and I'll see you all again soon on stream. Peace.